We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
Well, then maybe we should go a different route than we did with Indiana Jones.
Fuck Indiana Jones, put a chick in it and make her name it gay! Put a diverse woman in it, make it lame!
But, Mrs. Kennedy, Bambi's a baby deer.
Fuck baby deer, put a chick in it, make her gay!
There you are, Miss Kennedy, the linguine and clam sauce.
Excuse me, I believe I asked you to put a chick in this and make her gay.
Yes, the chef was a little confused what you meant by that.
It means put a chick in the linguine and make her fucking gay! And I want it lame! I think that things are being kept from me. And if you're going to keep things from me, then you'd better put a chick in it and make it fucking gay as fuck.
Look, I don't want to have to say it, but I think the problem is Kathleen Kennedy.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
All right, we are now back and live. Hopefully everybody can see us. Welcome to another edition of Thirsty Thursdays. How you guys doing? We got Jesse Grant over in Australia. We've got Moviewise in Brazil. We've got Hardcut in ye old Nashville. How you guys doing?
What's up, guys?
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Nice to get this working finally. I got my drink here, the last of my Japanese whiskey, and ready to talk all things pop culture. Let's get started with the whole Rachel Zegler Snow White debacle, which I know Jesse's been covering a lot.
Yeah, like what we were talking about before, just how it's very strange what they're doing with the dwarves. I feel like that's probably the biggest problem that they've had throughout this whole thing is when they first announced it, you had Peter Dinklage angry about there being dwarves in the first place when, like we all said before, he made his career off playing dwarf characters, and then he's taking roles from other little actors that could play them and don't get offered a lot of roles. And then now they're CGIing dwarfs and not using the human 6'3" dwarfs that they had cast already.
Yeah, it's all thanks to Peter Dinklage, huh?
Yeah, it seemed like just a weird comment to make. I didn't really understand it. I just thought it was kind of rude because, like, there are so many actors out there that, little people out there that want to get roles and unfortunately don't get cast in so much stuff because they would automatically walk into an audition and they would just say, you don't fit the vision, right? And then when a role comes around that's tailored to them exactly, you have the biggest actor, the biggest little person actor out there say, this is horrible, this needs to not be done. It's like, hang on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what Peter Dinklage's problem was. I know that like they've had a lot of a hard time like over the years getting roles. And certainly Austin Powers Mini-Me didn't really help that cause. But yeah, this was like the perfect opportunity to have, little people, it's a Snow White movie. You could get all 7 actors. So exactly why, these comments were made. And then, you CGI these giants that, look super silly at this point. I mean, Lord of the Rings did it right with, Bilbo Baggins and Frodo and all that. And then Gandalf in the movies, that didn't look completely out of proportion. So if they could do it over 20 years ago, they should be able to do it now. I have no idea what's up with Disney.
I think Warwick Davis is probably free.
Yeah,
They could have got him in there too.
I think the whole cast of Willow is free.
The whole cast of Will is free.
Yeah, is there not going to be a second season?
I hope there is.
Yeah, for all our sakes. Yeah,
Did Disney erase from their archives that new Willow?
Oh, it's gone.
Did they take it down?
I think
They,
so.
they took it down from Disney Plus. Yeah.
Memory
There
hole.
was this moment
Memory
when they
hold.
purged Disney Plus out of hundreds of contents.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the one thing I've noticed, and let me know what you guys think. The CGI in anything Disney. I mean, like Star Wars, Marvel,
Low effort.
the CGI has really it's gone downhill over the past 5 years.
Yeah, they've spread themselves so thin with 1,000 shows they're trying to do all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, there's
needs CGI everywhere.
Yeah, there's always been lazy CGI, but now there's Disney lazy CGI, and that's like its own beast.
Yeah, I mean, it seems very. I don't even know. You remember the old early '90s when CGI started to become a thing? Well, now it's kind of back. Who are these amateurs?
The early days.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing
without getting onto the Marvels too early, but there were some moments in the Marvels where I was like, what am I watching? Specifically in the way that whenever a couple of the characters, Captain Marvel in particular, when she would arrive on the battleship or whatever it is, she would land and then do this really weird walk where she literally looked like a video game character back 15 years ago, and it was the stiffest walk I've ever seen and looked like a piece of rubber. It was so weird.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to piggyback off that because, I'm sorry if you guys haven't seen it. Some spoilers, but not too much.
You're going to spoil the Marvels.
Oh, I know. What a crime. But when they were, all three of them were on the ship, I felt Brie Larson, and I always call her Dawn Chambers from Mad Men. I forget the actress's name, Monica Rambeau, and then Iman. They're decent actresses, but they were so stiff during that scene. There was no on-screen chemistry at all.
No, throughout the movie, I just kept thinking, why do they seem like they're whispering to each other almost? Or they're just speaking with no inflection behind any of their words. I was like, do the actors want to be there themselves? And there were times that that Miss Marvel would have some life to her, and I actually quite liked moments of her character. Some moments annoyed me, and some moments I actually quite liked because at least there was emotion behind it. Whereas the other performances, you've got literal Oscar winners not seeming like they care about the lines that they're delivering. It was weird.
Well, is it them not caring, or is it just another example of them trying to act like stoic men, basically? You know what I mean? I haven't seen it, so I can't say. I'm just asking.
Yeah. I don't know, because there were some lines where there would be no need to deliver it in a stoic manner at all. It was just they were reminiscing on the past, and there was an emotional moment that they were trying to go for that didn't land with Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel, where she was talking about her as a child and wishing that Captain Marvel would have come back or something. And the way she was talking was just I wish you would have come back. It was just there was nothing. There was nothing behind it. It was weird. It wasn't they were trying to be stoic. It just seemed like they didn't want to be there, or they didn't care. Or it's the way that Disney's kind of done to everything now, where even with Star Wars, it seems like all the characters in Star Wars now all speak like robots, even when they're not robots. And Ahsoka was victim of that as well.
I think it's
what it might be.
Part of that
just came up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just came up with this theory right now. Might be because they're planning on reshooting or editing it in a different way, removing that line or another line. So if nobody has any emotion, you can place it anywhere you want, and an emotional scene might become comic or serious or whatever you need.
Yeah, I think definitely the movie looked like it was heavily edited. I think there was rewrites, and that definitely shows because the tone between, I don't know, portions of the food, from scene to scene, it was just different pacing, different tone, different feel. I know, Jesse, you mentioned it in your review that you go from a serious movie to slapstick comedy to Bollywood and then to a musical all all within like 40 minutes, and I'm like,
Oh my God.
what the hell is going on? Like,
You're
it just
exaggerating.
seemed
Yeah, I think
So-
we're going to see it tomorrow.
so confused. The movie just didn't know what it was at all. I think they came in with one vision. I don't know what the initial vision was, but like you said, and it was reported on, there were multiple reshoots, rewrites, delays after delays. And so they've clearly changed it up, but they weren't able to change up everything. And so you start watching one movie, and then it becomes a complete other film. And the
and
stakes...
then it changes again.
Yeah, then it changes again and then changes back, and it's like what am I watching here? Like, are you a sort of like character-driven relationship film, more like or quirky fun film like Spider-Man, or are you trying to be another Avengers Endgame? Because they were acting like it was this super serious situation, and then it would cut to a small time, like little relationship thing. Like it was very weird.
Yeah.
Wait, I need to know more about this. Do they have a Bollywood musical moment?
Yes.
Yes.
What?
They go to a planet. They go to a planet where the language is song. And if you don't speak normally, they can't understand you. You have to sing to them. And then all of a sudden, the king of that planet, the king starts speaking normally. And Monica Rambeau goes, oh, wait, how come he can speak normally? And Brie Larson goes, oh, he's bilingual.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
it was just comically bad writing, and it definitely exemplifies. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read that Variety piece.
Yeah, I read it.
It's been out in other sources, and Critical Drinker brought this up that like there's no, and Moviewise, I'd love to hear your take on it since you analyze direction, but basically Marvel and Disney as a whole, they don't actually have directors, they cast them, and so I think maybe the actors aren't receiving any direction, which is why they're so stiff and like emotionless robots. But I mean, yeah, I guess it's a lack of direction. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I haven't read the article, but it's quite possible. It's what I said. They shoot the film planning that they're going to reshoot and re-edit it. So they keep the actors stiff. They make them not move. They make them not interact with the set. They might have to change the set any day. So films all look the same, and they look like they're not moving.
Yeah, I
like
just...
they were assembled together.
I think that, like, since the beginning of cinema, movies have always been the director's medium. That's television is the producer's medium or the writer's medium, And I feel like the Marvel movies, they treat it like it's television. So, the producers are kind of like the showrunner of the whole cinematic piece. And as a director, you're kind of just hired there to manage the team on whatever day. That's like all it really is. And anytime you hire a director that has a vision of something, like you can say Edgar Wright with Ant-Man, he gets fired. Like anyone who speaks up against or just like brings something of theirs to the table, it just seems like they get nixed pretty early on.
Unless you're a woman.
Unless you're a woman, of course.
Well, we'll see if we get Eternals too.
Right? Yeah.
I don't think Chloe Zhao is going to come back for that.
But I think
worse than TV, I think. Because
I just think that they treat it like television.
But on television, at least the directors get some rapport with the actors. The actors enjoy working with that director and that other director. They work repeatedly with the same directors in these movies. A director comes, maybe he will make the next film, probably not. So there's no relationship.
There was the article with Nia DaCosta where she talked about like all the directing problems and the problems on set with the Marvels and how
it sounded like she had no confidence in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said she signed on for another project and thought it would be fine to finish the Marvels and then move on to that project because it was like a year later. But due to all the delays and all the pushbacks, that project started coming up and she's like, hey, I'm signed on to this other thing. Can we film now? Marvel said no. So for like 3 weeks of the production, she was in London directing another movie and was having to zoom in and direct over Zoom to the movie. And she even said in the interview, she said, don't get me wrong, like I was the appointed director, but this is a Marvel movie. This isn't a Nia DaCosta movie. And maybe that does show in the performances because like there's only like what can a director do if they're zooming in and they're also being told, oh no, don't put any of your ideas, don't try and change it in any way. This is what we want. And we know that what Disney wants, what Marvel wants right now, isn't good.
Yeah, actually, that actually makes a lot of sense because when I was in London back in April, I was walking around Richmond Park, and they're like, "Oh no, you can't go this way." You know, one of the production assistants, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" It's like, "Oh no, we're shooting a movie." I'm like, "Oh, which one?" No, we can't tell you that, but it's something you probably know. And I'm like, and it's coming out in November. I was like, "Oh, is it the Marvels?" And the woman's like, "Yes." And so I spoke to two of the production assistants, and they were doing reshoots in Richmond Park, which I was actually trying to figure out which scenes were shot in Richmond Park. And it was that scene where they land the ship in that wheat field planet. Because there was that exact same grass. I remember it in the spring. But the production assistants were like, "Yeah, this movie's a complete mess. Like it's completely all over the place." So we knew this was coming, and yet I was actually like, I'd love to know what the clientele was in the Australian theater, Jesse. Because I'm going to call this out. I saw the 3 p.m. showing on the Upper West Side in the AMC on 84th, and some people were actually laughing at the jokes, and a few people actually clapped at the end of the movie, and I'm like, I must have stepped over into the multiverse because, like, I didn't watch the same movie these people did.
Well, this is going to maybe be quite telling for the box office, but it was only me and my brother in the cinema.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my brother wanted to leave 20 minutes in. Yeah. And I was like, I've got to stay and watch this whole thing. And he was like, I paid for it, so I might as well stay to the end. But it was only me and my brother. Yeah.
They're going to cover the entire international box office.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
$40.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I read somewhere that they're actually discounting it like 90% because people aren't going to see it. I don't know if you guys.
I didn't get a discount. Bullshit! I didn't get a discount.
Neither did I. I plopped down my $17 to see that garbage.
They should have paid.
They charge $28 here. I got popcorn, water, and a movie ticket, and she was like 56, and I was like, what?
Oh God. Yeah, I mean
that's Australian, so I think US that would probably be like 35 US dollars.
But come on, for the Marvels, like that should be on discount already.
Right, that would,
like you said,
that would be $100 here.
Oh wow!
If I converted.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's one of the reasons people aren't going to the theaters. I mean, it is cost, but then you get a good movie like Top Gun Maverick or Oppenheimer, and people do turn out for good movies. There's just so few and far between.
And that's the thing, like, there's that argument of, oh, no one goes to the cinema anymore because it's expensive or because still after COVID or whatever they may say is the reason that people don't go to the cinema. But, I mean, Barbie, Oppenheimer came out in, the same day, and they both made... Did Oppenheimer break $1 billion? I don't know how much money Oppenheimer...
Yeah.
It did break $1 billion. Yep. So you had two movies break $1 billion. So clearly people are going to go to the cinema. And regardless of what your opinions are of Barbie, the fact that many people went out to the cinema just proves that if you can market a film in the right way or create a film that people want to see, they're going to show up. So that argument just falls flat on Disney's face or anyone trying to defend the MCU right now.
Yeah, and like you guys mentioned, I think Disney completely spread itself too thin. They kept pushing this Disney Plus stuff, and I read, I saw it on another YouTube channel, Moon. He did a video where he said that in the streaming services, particularly in Disney Plus, that they got rid of showrunners, and the showrunner is the guy that keeps the continuity of the entire show together. And when you have not just one show but multiple shows that tie into movies and nobody to actually manage it. That shows like a complete lack of strategy.
Well, yeah, what's his name?
Paul Feig.
Feige, whatever the hell his name is.
Whatever.
Yeah, he even said, I think it might have been mentioned in that article about how he normally used to sit down and like oversee everything and make sure that the continuity was there across every movie. And then when all the shows started dropping, he admitted like, oh, I can't watch all of this. Like he had to step back.
There's only so much you can
There's only so
juggle.
much one person can really keep an eye on. So I mean, you could see that.
Well, didn't we hear from Daredevil that they had already started production, and then Kevin Feige finally sat down and read the script. He had greenlit this show, had given it, I think, like a budget of $200 million or something ridiculous, and then finally sat down to read the script after they started filming and said, we can't make this. Because he doesn't even show up in the Daredevil costume until episode 4. He was like, please cancel this right now. And it's like, how are you greenlighting a show for $200 million and not even reading the script? But that makes sense. There's just too much for him to read. One man can't cover all that.
Yeah. And then you got the situation with Blade.
Yeah, like 5 stop-starts, you know?
Yeah.
Wait, what happened to Blade?
They were about to go into production, I think, and then they pulled it.
It's happened like 3 times.
Yeah.
And the newest iteration, the rumor is that the script that was written was basically about, I don't know, 4 or 5 females that took front and center. And then Blade was kind of took the back seat in his own film. And that's what they were going to go with. And then someone finally had the wise idea of saying, we're not doing that shit. But yeah, I mean, like, I see what's sad is like, yeah, of course you have to have a showrunner. That makes sense. But it's sad that like without a showrunner, people are going to run amok and make decisions like that. You know, it shouldn't. It astounds me that they're like, you know, that. Can you imagine what the writer's room was like for the Marvels? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's such a good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Oh my gosh, how fun. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's going on right now. There needs to be someone to be like, no, this is bullshit. Stop.
Right, yeah. I mean, there was that one scene during the Bollywood scene where I was just like, the prince to Captain Marvel's princess, like, the prince looks more feminine than Captain Marvel. Like, kind of gender roles reversed. I'm like, what the hell are you trying to do here? Like, it was so confusing.
That scene sounds like the obligatory, we're going to do a singing episode for like a WB show or something. Yeah. Where they just like, we're on season 8. We can probably working on a singing episode now.
I mean,
That's
to be fair,
they
are basically in the equivalent of season 8 right now in the MCU.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Buffy had a singing episode, and it was a good one.
That's what I've heard, and I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I'm confused about the Bollywood scene because were they trying to bring in that scene to try and get in the Indian market or something? Because India have their own Bollywood films, and obviously they're going to be better than Brie Larson's rendition of their own film. Like, they don't care about seeing Brie Larson in a sari. They have their own movie stars. Like, why do you think you can do it better than them?
Catering to an audience is always good for your wallet.
Yeah.
You might say in India, hey, they have a Bollywood thing, let's watch that one.
Yeah, I mean, they've been trying to cater to certain audiences. China, it just doesn't work at all. Like,
Blue Beetle had a Brazilian catering scene, which was hilarious. There's this famous Brazilian actress in the movie, and she has one line in Portuguese out of the blue for no reason.
Which line was it?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Maybe it's only in the Brazilian market. I thought it was possible. She spits chewing gum right next to Susan Sarandon's face in the ending. She's her niece. And I think the chewing gum explodes the helicopter or something.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
She had one random line in Portuguese. The cinema went, what?
Well, that's the problem with like when they're trying to like, you know, pander to all these different people. They're trying to the Force is female, all of this stuff, and in doing so, you leave behind your core fans, and that's the problem. Like they're trying to reach all these people, but which is just, you're not going to like force that to happen.
Yeah. So like Brie Larson saying like, oh, it's not for you.
It's not for you.
Oh, right. Could you imagine like sitting in an Iron Man movie and seeing a chick next to you and you turn next to her like, hey, bitch, this isn't for you. Like, it's so stupid. Like, it doesn't, like, you would think it would go both ways, but no, because like, it's stupid. It doesn't go both ways. It doesn't go one way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's the problem is, and I mentioned this in one of my reviews, and actually, one of my friends pointed this out. He's like, yeah, I can count how many people, how many women have ongoing subscriptions at comic book shops on my dick, like zero, essentially. Thanks, Chris in Jersey. But yeah, I mean, it's you don't like basically Marvel, Disney, all of it. Just they don't know who their audience is. 90% of the people that like comic books were male. You're not going to turn, females that just want to watch. I don't know, whatever. I use the joke, Virgin River on Netflix. You're not going to turn those women into comic book fans. They have no interest. Sure, some women like the comic book movies. I know a few people that do that are women, but it's not the majority. So who are you? Like they try to cater to everybody, and then end up pleasing nobody.
Yeah, well, then you have Barbie come out, which is like a super feminine. Like it's super successful because that's what they want to see. And there's I have my own thoughts about Barbie. To me, I haven't seen it yet. It looks like shit. I have zero interest in it. It looks like a chick movie. And sure enough, women showed up in droves to see it. Yeah. Like I also
I think.
Do you guys remember when Aquaman came out? Like I fucking hate that movie. I think that movie's a piece of shit. But it was massively successful. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, why was this so successful?" Because of fucking Jason Momoa. Like the women went to go see it. Women went to go see it. You know what I mean? That's why.
You don't want to watch Miss Marvel? You didn't sit in for that show?
No.
I mean, there's some movies that can pull it off correctly, like both Top Guns. You have your action, and then you have your love scene with the beautiful Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, I was going to say Kelly McGillis, but
well, back in the day.
We're talking about beautiful actresses.
We're talking about the new one. All right.
Yeah.
And we're talking about beautiful actresses.
I mean, hey, whoa! Like Jennifer Connelly, I think is still gorgeous. I don't know what she's doing, but yeah, I mean, it's I don't know how some movies can pull it off and some can't.
It's the movies that can accept reality that can pull it off. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I think there's been way too much what I call CGI shitfest, where it's just what am I watching? It's I remember when the Star Wars Episode 1 came out, and there was a whole pod racing scene that took 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh okay, it's George Lucas saying, oh look what I can do with a computer. But now it's all movies all the time, and oftentimes it's just not good CGI. And the movies, they go into for large spectacle, and we basically lost the middle of the road movies like a Hangover. I'm not saying that it's a good movie, but like a Cheaper by the Dozen. Family comedy. Whatever happened to that?
Those mid-tier, mid-range budget movies that are gone. They don't exist anymore.
They're meant for streaming.
Yeah, they're meant
for all streaming now. Yeah,
but the rom-com was completely isolated from cinema. It only exists on Netflix.
Yeah, but then the problem with that though is now when something's on Netflix, just like Disney Plus, whatever the streaming service is, that's no longer seen as a film or a movie or a rom-com. It's all content now.
Yeah.
So when you treat something like it's content, it's gonna suck. Like Top Gun, when you watch Top Gun Maverick, that's not fucking content. That's a movie.
Right, and it's why they didn't want it streaming.
Exactly. They treated it like
to put it in the theater.
And when you treat something like a movie, when you respect the art form, and you make something for everybody, people are going to show up. People are going to enjoy it. But when it's
an event going to a movie.
Yeah, but when you refer to something as content, you're automatically admitting that it's just disposable.
Right.
You're not gonna. There's nothing on Netflix that you're going to watch more than once. And I think that's sad. Like when I was a kid, I'd go see a movie or rent a movie, whatever. I'd watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
That's gone. That no one does that anymore. A, it's just oversaturated. There's just too much shit out there. But B, it's content now.
And don't
Yeah.
forget, Top Gun has Tom Cruise, who just might be the last movie star.
He is the last movie star.
The only one who
Yeah.
will draw audiences just for being in a movie.
Yeah.
Did that the Mummy
Yeah.
thing make money?
And that's
Yeah.
entirely down to the fact that he just, like you said, has respect for the art form and respects the story he's telling to the point of where, like, when you respect the story you're telling, you're not going to try and pander to people. You're going to say, I'm going to make this story the best way possible. And that way people will like it because it's a good fucking story. Like, people like a good fucking story.
Well,
Don't try and add other stuff to it.
Yeah, it's a good fucking story, and we're all human beings. It doesn't matter. Like, you can relate to anyone, like, when you watch a movie. That's why the whole thing's stupid. Oh, the Force is female, or whatever it is. We need to create this. We can't, there's too many straight white men, whatever. No one can relate. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
It's just such bullshit. We're all human beings, and we can all relate to a good story.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't get the whole shitting on the hero's journey arc. Like, this is something that has worked for thousands of years. Like, you're coming in thinking you know better because you've got your Ivy League degree and you think you can write better, but honestly, you can't improve on an archetype that was created by people with no internet, no running water, in ancient Greece, and that stood the test of time. Like, to think that you can do better is, the height of hubris at this point.
And it's so bizarre because Top Gun Maverick was nominated for the Oscar of Best Adapted Screenplay. And it's a great screenplay. It's completely successful in what it wants to be. But imagine 10 years ago, it never would have been nominated because that was the norm.
No, I mean, yeah, I think if Top Gun came out 10 years ago, 15 years ago, setting aside like all the cool technological advances, like all the camera mounts and like how cool the aerial stuff looked, setting aside all of that, just from a story standpoint, it would have just been like, that's a good movie. But because things are so shitty now, when something normal comes out, we're all like, oh my God, that was great. Because we haven't seen a normal movie in a long time.
It's the dark age.
Yeah, I mean,
cinema,
that's what we talk about on our channel all the time, is basically just wanting the movies to go back to fucking normal.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there's some, like, we're starting to emerge. I really think that Top Gun Maverick was the first sign of hope. You brought up Jesse brought up that the studios don't have any respect for their audience. And I think like Top Gun Maverick was my second review ever on my channel. And I noticed, I'm like, okay, you get Tom Cruise coming out before the movie saying, hey, we made this movie out of love for you. I really hope you enjoy it. We did it all for you. Please enjoy the film. And, several other people have already done the same thing. Seth Rogen prior to the Ninja Turtles movie that basically nobody saw, which was awesome. And then Scorsese before Killers of the Flower Moon also came out, thanked the audience, hey, like, we did this for like the love of cinema. So just showing respect to the audience is something that's been missing in Hollywood, I think.
Is this
the reason movies... Yeah. I mean, the reason movies make money is because people pay money to see it. And so you're making them for the audience. You can't just make something and say, yeah, but if you don't like it, you're just an idiot, or whatever reason you make up. It's like, well, no, if most people don't like your film, guess what? It's a shitty film.
Right.
Because you don't release it in theaters for people not to go see it. You release it in theaters for as many people to go see the movie and for as many people to like it.
Yeah, but instead they invent bullshit terms like toxic fandom and all of that. And then if you don't like the bullshit that they're shoving down your throat, then you're a toxic fan. Yeah. I think that what woke everyone up, one of the main things that woke everyone up, and definitely started the online, the YouTube criticism sphere was The Last Jedi. Because I think after everyone saw that movie, you needed to go somewhere for a cathartic release, and I could not believe what I saw when I watched that piece of shit, and I went on YouTube and like just I need to I need to vent about this. Like you as a community, we all needed to like heal from that experience,
from the death of the franchise.
Yeah.
Somebody on one of my videos called me out, like, "Oh, great, another fandom menace channel," and I'm like. Just because I think something shit doesn't mean it's actually like where I really don't understand where I must be catering with my Loki videos. They must be getting thrown out to like the remaining fans that out there that basically I think what was it, Red Letter Media, consume product before next product.
Yeah.
I think we've become conditioned to accept garbage, and it's made the industry suffer immensely. I think that the writer's strike and the actor's strike, I think that was hopefully a reset. Maybe they'll learn their lesson. I don't know.
Yeah,
it might be high hoping.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, just to get back to the fandom point, because it just does my head in that toxic fandom, saying that they like to throw out there. It's like, well, why are you making an Indiana Jones 5? Because there are so many fans for Indiana Jones, it makes money. So you're like, we can make money off this. You don't get to say toxic fandom when you're only making it because of fandom. Same way that you revive Star Wars, you're only making it because there's millions, billions of fans out there. So then if those millions and billions of fans that you tried to make money off of say, this movie stinks, you don't get to go, oh, you're just toxic, man. You're just toxic. You don't like our modern adaptation, our modern edge to Star Wars.
I mean, that should be their approach when they decide to make a new Star Wars movie or whatever. It should be because we can make money off of it and we'll make the fans happy. But no, they see it as an opportunity to just push agendas.
Yeah, and I think
socially engineer.
Yeah, I think it has something, at least a lot, to do with the BlackRock like ESG scores. Where Bob Iger or whoever's running Disney is saying, "Oh crap, we need to increase our ESG scores so BlackRock, will push out our stock to more institutional investors," and without seeing that pushing that ESG narrative is what's driving your profits down. They just announced earnings yesterday, and they were saying, "Oh, massive subscriber growth." I'm like, really? When your service went from $6 to $18, I'm not so sure about that. Maybe we should consult the Nielsen ratings on that.
Same thing with Ahsoka. They said that Ahsoka got like 12 million viewers per episode or whatever, and it was like Game of Thrones didn't even reach that until like season 3 or something. And everyone and their mum was talking about Game of Thrones when season 1 and season 2 came out. It's like, so I'm not hearing many people talk about Ahsoka. I can Google Ahsoka videos on YouTube. They're not getting a lot of views. Same thing with Loki. And it's like, so I don't want to call you a liar because you could sue me, but I don't know if that's true.
The writers got in their new deal with the producers that they would be more open about their numbers, didn't they?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I think
they are gonna be.
Yeah, I think they're always going to be fudging numbers. And the most egregious thing I can think of is the fudging of Rotten Tomatoes, the aggregator sites, where you click all critics and then top critics. I just did that with the Marvels. It's like all critics 62%. You click top critics, it goes down to like 42%. And I'm like,
the disconnect on Rotten Tomatoes is crazy sometimes.
And it all started with Captain Marvel, the first one.
Yeah, the first Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
we're getting review bombed.
Yeah.
Or your movie just sucks.
Yeah.
You release that movie at a time where you try to shoehorn in a new character when things are going well across the MCU. So, of course, it made money. There's no way that movie wasn't going to make money.
Dude, it was sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame.
Exactly.
So it's going to
of course, and then they tried to tease it like, oh, she's going to play a huge part in Endgame. And now you'd think, because that movie made so much money, because that's such a popular character, why isn't the sequel going to do well? I mean, it's going to tank.
Yeah.
Well, what
And
happened?
then they tried to tie the sequel to Endgame some weird way with that
in that
stupid
new teaser
trailer with
trailer?
Thanos' voice.
Thanos,
What?
they show Iron Man, they show Captain America. It's remember these characters that you like?
Remember the things that you
Yeah,
enjoy?
well, none of these people are in this movie, but come see it anyway.
Yeah, now they're talking about bringing back Robert Downey Jr. and everything. So you're basically going to retcon everything, and nothing has any no deaths have any meaning at this
Well, they
point.
should have never killed him in the first place. Because now they put themselves in a corner. It's like, well, okay, all our new shit's failing because nobody cares about these C tier characters.
I wonder why.
So,
I thought
we gotta bring
turn
back Downey Jr.
I thought they were gonna turn his daughter into the new Iron Man, and Thor's daughter or his enemy's daughter into the new Thor, that kind of thing.
No, they did that with Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
One movie.
No, we do have the Iron Man replacement. It's
Ironheart.
Yeah, Riri Williams, the young black girl from Black Panther 2. She's going to be the new Iron Man.
I forgot about that film. I was
Honestly, this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler for the Marvels, but at the very end where Kamala Khan's like, I'm starting my own team, I'm like, yeah, I know what you're referencing, Tony Stark and Samuel L. Jackson, part of a greater world or whatever.
Oh, the new Avengers?
But it was so
Yeah, the Young Avengers.
The Young Avengers?
Yeah,
it's going to be like Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, and what's her name, Kate Bishop. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that moment was so cringe, and the lady next to me was like, "Woo!"
Lapping it up.
What the fuck? What are you smoking?
Oh, you're a big Photon fan?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
The thing that I don't get is the way that they introduce characters now is they honestly think that the MCU was that important that they don't need to give these characters any sort of character development. And they can say, hey, look, new character, you're going to like her, right? Her movie's going to make $1 billion. It's like, well, you have, who is she? Who is she? Why am I meant to like her? The reason I like Spider-Man is you developed his character in a good way. I actually like the character. The reason I like Iron Man, same reason. But, what are you doing with Miss Marvel? Are we really meant to care about this character? While I didn't think she was bad in the Marvel, she was the only good thing. It was why do I care about her or where she's going to develop? You haven't done any work. You're saying, look, new shiny thing.
Does she have a sad backstory? Because every film, every character needs to have a sad backstory instead of a personality.
Yeah. Same with Monica Rambeau. She was introduced in WandaVision. And then you bring her into this big movie, this $300 million movie, and it's nobody knows who this is. Because not everybody who watches the movies is going to go and dive deep into the TV shows.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I mean, you had the set of moviegoers, and then the set of TV watchers is this. There's very little there's very little interaction between the two, and I mean, at some point, I can only fathom a guess that somebody's going to look at the financial statements. And it's yo, you spent $200-300 million on this, and you have to obviously double it with marketing and advertising and all that. So at this point, you're not even breaking even. So I kind of see, and let me know what you guys think. A time where it's okay, maybe we'll be a little more careful about that mid-tier range of movie, where we can put in 20, 30, 40 million to produce this film, and maybe it'll make 60, 70, 80, 100 million, bring back that size of Cheaper by the Dozen, mid-tier, family comedy, mid-tier drama. I mean, even, I don't know, Jesse, do you know how much Killers of the Flower Moon cost to make?
200 million.
No. Oh, was that the budget?
Million?
Yes. Scorsese can get what Scorsese wants.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the only filmmaker I can think of off the top of my head that's kind of doing that, love him or hate him, is Jason Blum. The horror movies that he makes, and they're very, they cost $20-30 million, whatever. It's very low risk, So, and what that invites is, when you do something that's low risk, you can have a filmmaker come in and it could be like a filmmaker-centric movie. You can have it be director-driven finally, because hey, it's only $30 million. It's not going to hurt, whatever. If it doesn't do well,
even a shitty release will make $30 million.
Yeah, I mean, like as bad as, and it was fucking terrible, but as bad as Exorcist Believer was, which was god awful, that was still very much a David Gordon Green film.
Made its money.
It made its money back. Yeah, they just need to do more of that.
Right. Well, like we just saw Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
Right. $20 million budget. The movie did over $100 million domestically on its opening weekend.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Or Talk to Me.
Or Talk to Me. Yeah, that's another one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that budget? Was that like 3 million, 4 million? Like not a lot at all. It was like 3 to 4, and I think it brought in. Did it cross 100 million at the box office?
I think so.
I bet it did. I watched it, and I never watched these films.
What did you guys think of Talk to Me?
I haven't seen it, but Jesse?
No, I haven't watched it either. I just saw how successful it was.
Just the numbers, yeah.
Oh,
I heard good things, though.
I watched it.
It was one of the few horror films that I thought was really scary. The first film since Hereditary that was really scary. That's surprisingly rare in horror films.
You see, for me, like I thought that Talk to Me was a really well-made movie, and I liked it, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't scared. Like that was my biggest complaint, is I didn't think it was that scary. But I did. You can tell that the guys that made it, they have some talent, they have some skill.
Yeah, and director-driven and love for the genre, clearly,
Yes.
And that's just something that you're not seeing. Like Robert Eggers, I think, is another filmmaker who does great work. Yeah,
that guy kicks ass. I honestly like The Lighthouse and The Northman. I thought were fantastic. I didn't see The Witch. Witch movie, but yeah, that's definitely high up on my list. But yeah, I mean, it's honestly we're missing the mid-tier movies, and I actually just watched a really awesome movie. I don't know if you guys have watched Old Dads on Netflix.
Yeah, I watched it.
Which I mean, that probably would have broken 100 million in the box office. Like, it was the first funny movie I've seen in 10 years, and because Bill Burr is like one of us. He's part of our community.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, and he's somebody who is like on the left too, and like he's just a common sense guy.
Yep.
He's normal.
He's normal.
He's normal.
Right. And this, like, he directed it. This was his debut as a director, and it did feel like, okay, we're throwing it back to some good, like, hard R-rated comedy here.
Yeah.
And it was enjoyable.
Yeah,
like, I wish that had gotten like a theater release, because I would have gone to support it.
Yeah, I mean, they should have probably done what Five Nights at Freddy's did, because I know it was available on Peacock like the same day or something.
Yeah, they did streaming.
Yeah, which is how I watched it, and I kind of regret not seeing it in the theater, because I don't know what you guys think, but I thought Five Nights at Freddy's was actually pretty enjoyable. Like, there was some pacing issues or whatever. And, obviously it's very difficult to turn a point and click, adventure video game into a movie. But, there's a superfluous story about like the guy and his, searching for his brother and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I think that was a good vehicle to bring in the environment of Five Nights at Freddy's. So honestly, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I think we enjoyed it more than we thought we were going to.
Yeah.
We were in a theater surrounded by the children.
Yeah, it's what we said in our review. It's like the first movie that made me feel genuinely old, because there were so many kids in there, and like I thought that was great, and I really liked that. As we were watching it, there were things that happened in the movie that you can tell they were playing fan service to anyone who's a fan of the game series. And I don't know, that was just cool. Like, everyone was cheering during the movie, and I know a lot of people are annoyed when people do that in movie theaters, but I like it, and it just showed that there was at least some care that went into making the movie. Like, the filmmakers gave a shit. And like I also mentioned in our review for the film, like, it's encouraging that the guy who is behind the video games wrote the screenplay. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, this feels a lot like the early days of the MCU, with like Iron Man and Thor, where they're actually like taking great care to try to basically make the next few age of blockbuster to be the video game adaptation. I mean, I think that's where this whole thing's headed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Uncharted. I fucking love the games. I played every single one of them and beat them. I thought the movie was like okay, but I think like the more video game movies that I see, particularly Sonic, with Sonic specifically, the studio was like, oh shit, we fucked up. Let's go back to the drawing table and like redo this.
Yeah, they listen to the toxic fans.
Yeah.
Right. You listen to the toxic fans, and I'm not saying it's like Shawshank Redemption, but I had fun with Sonic the Hedgehog. Both of them, really. The second one was just as fun. You got Shigeru Miyamoto making. He's the creator of Mario, and now I don't know if you guys heard, but they're making a live action Zelda movie.
Yeah, they teamed up with Sony.
Yeah, and I mean, they did a great job with the Mario movie. Like, yeah, is it Shawshank Redemption, revolutionary cinema? No, but it was enjoyable.
Did they say if it was going to be live action or animated like Mario was?
They said it was live action.
I like how the two New Yorkers say Mario.
Mario. That's it.
Mario. Oh, it's Mario, whatever.
Oh, Mario.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, that has been like a string that we've seen lately. Like earlier this year, well, not that early, I guess. What was it? August. Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Came out.
Great
Neil
movie.
Blomkamp. Now that movie didn't really make waves at the box office, but we both enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
It was a well-made, well-crafted movie. Here's what good CGI can look like.
Yeah.
If you actually take the time and put the effort in.
You have someone that with some special effects skill behind the camera that understands how to use it properly.
But seeing something like that, the craft that went into that, I mean, it is kind of like I guess kind of a forecast of where the next genre is going.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we kind of touched on this in our last stream too, but I think that the video game adaptation has the potential to kind of take up the mantle of the next big thing when it comes to blockbuster films.
Dethrone the superhero movie for a little while.
All it's going to take is you make a few more of these things and you make them faithful to the source material. I don't think that, as much as Five Nights at Freddy's was okay, Sonic was all right, whatever, there hasn't been that Sin City or Batman Begins equivalent of the video game adaptation yet, I don't think. But when that happens, though, I think that people are going to start seeing that, wow, these video games actually have like really complex stories. They're very interesting. And if we tap into that but we do it correctly instead of just buying an IP and using that name for recognition, but the screenplay is something entirely different from what the video games are about. I think once they start doing them right, they have a lot of potential.
Yeah,
Didn't everybody love The Last of Us? They said it respected
the show.
video game.
I forgot about that.
I mean, I know fans of the game were like all about it, but I was like, I didn't play the game, so I don't care.
I mean, the game was obviously better, but there was a few missing things. Each episode felt a little disjointed from one episode to the next. I mean, it was okay. 5 out of 10, I guess. But I think and I'm a huge gamer. I grew up on the PlayStation. I'm currently playing Spider-Man 2, Starfield, and Hellblade. Which as far as like character development stories, goddamn Hellblade, phenomenal. And I think you can pick it up for like $20. I mean, phenomenal game. But I think the end game level movie might be something like Metal Gear Solid, but with like Hideo Kojima directly involved. Because I mean, the original Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1 was I mean, you were playing a movie. That was the very first like cinematic experience that I had in gaming. And for so long, so many people view gaming as like like the Halo. And I say, and I'm sure this is gonna piss off a lot of Gen Z and younger viewers, but Halo, Overwatch, whatever, Splatoon, it's all the same derivative of Quake 3 Arena, Unreal Tournament, Counter Strike. It's the same, like sandbox shooters. But what most people, and I actually called out the Daily Wire, Matt, what's his name?
Walsh.
Matt Walsh. What he gets wrong about video games is because so much focus and emphasis on like the Halo, like sandbox shooters, and not enough focus on the games with like ridiculous stories. I brought up in my review for How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Yes, it's a movie about environmentalism, but we had this like over 25 years ago in Final Fantasy VII. That game is more relevant now than ever before because it was about the capitalist like structure taking the life energy out of the planet or whatever, sort of an allegory to the petroleum industry. And you just don't have as much focus in the mainstream media on how good these stories in video games and character development and everything can like truly be.
Yeah, not only the story, I was playing Hitman the other day and I was just walking around looking at the environment and I thought, hey, this world building is better than any movie today. I always complain in my videos that we only see close-ups, we never interact with the set, the actors are always still, either standing or sitting down. And in video games, it's the opposite. You can go wherever you want, practically do whatever you can. I remember when I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I don't play many games, but the ones that do leave a mark. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I like to just walk around, climb every statue I saw. There was so much color and things to do. And that's a game movies don't do that kind of thing. Maybe some people think games are even superior because of that, but movies have the possibility of doing that. They just don't take it. They don't show the set.
Well, the Marvel was just all close up, and it felt claustrophobic in a way. Like it felt like everything was so tightly shot on everybody. You barely saw the world at all. So I don't know where the 300 million went.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, I want to call out the Marvels yet again because I was looking. I'm like, I live in New York. I know where all this shit is shot, and they kept saying Jersey City, Jersey City. I'm like, yeah, no, that's a park in Hoboken, bro. Like, fine, I get it. That The Dark Knight Rises. It was back and forth Chicago, New York. Fine, whatever.
And Pittsburgh.
But yeah, I definitely think like they tried
Steelers.
The movie did feel claustrophobic for sure, but with gaming stories, there's I got a couple things like during the pandemic I just got the hell out of here and I was down at my mom's house and I was like, fuck, I really miss the city, and I started playing Spider-Man 1, and one of my favorite activities, like after working from home or whatever, was to go swing around New York, and the sun would be setting. I mean, like the whole thing. I'm like, okay, I was homesick, but this game kind of got me through it. And then, another game that is actually paying homage to old cinema, all the Akira Kurosawa movies was
Ghosts of Tsushima.
Exactly, that's right. I mean, that game was just mind-bogglingly beautiful. That's probably the most beautiful game I've ever played.
I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 some months ago, and I only play today to shoot everybody and get into trouble. But I was in a shootout, and I remember it was during a sunset. It was raining, and I was in the mud, and it looked beautiful. Much better than any action scene in any film I've seen recently.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know whether it's like the lack of direction in Marvel and Disney movies, or you know, is there a lack of good directors? I have no
Well,
idea.
I just think like you guys were just bringing up the Marvels and all these other Marvel movies that feel claustrophobic, whatever. Like Marvel got popular, that kind of became the standard for like the style. You know what I mean? And now any franchise that gets launched, they kind of have to emulate what Marvel's doing. They're not kind of doing what they're not doing their own thing. Like you watch Oppenheimer, you watch a Nolan movie or a Denis Villeneuve, whatever the hell his name is, one of their movies. They don't give a shit about the Marvel stuff. They're doing their own thing. You know, like their movies don't look like Marvel movies. And I think that's why people respond to them the way that they do, because it's, you know, like even they Tom Cruise tried to make that Mummy movie, you know, they tried taking like a horror franchise and marveling it, you know what I mean? And that's the problem. It's just like one thing gets popular and it just kind of ruins it for everything else.
So, like, I was thinking about this earlier today. Is it that, you know, Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, they tried to like vomit out as many blockbusters as possible? Because, like, I remember growing up in the '90s, like we would get one, maybe two huge blockbusters per year. You know, specifically, I mean, I can remember that there was the 3 year period where we got Bad Boys, Independence Day, and Men in Black as
Good
like the
times.
big summer blockbuster, and like that was it.
Yeah.
Whereas like now, you know, Hollywood is expected to make dozens of huge blockbusters like every quarter.
Yeah, they're trying to drop blockbusters in January.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like January is no longer. I mean, it still is the dumping grounds for movie hell. But yeah, they're trying to. It just seems like the summer. I remember when Batman vs Superman came out.
Summer
That
now.
came out in March, and I couldn't believe it because usually Batman movies come out in June or July.
Yep.
But they started moving like the summer up, basically. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, back in the day, you'd have 2, 3 movies max maybe in the summer, and then you'd have maybe the one tentpole
Your holiday
Oscar
movie.
bait in December, exactly. And that was great. It was a good system.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, do you guys think that there's like some sort of like watershed event that, you know, we can finally like emerge from the dark age of cinema? Like I thought that was maybe Top Gun Maverick, but you know, maybe it required something like South Park making fun of Disney.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know, like.
just like
I'm quite an
even-
optimist.
Go ahead.
I'm quite an optimistic guy, and so where we're going. You go, Moviewise.
Okay, I was just gonna say I think things will change very gradually. There will be no watermark.
Yeah, I think that we're kind of in the middle of that right now, perhaps. You know, Top Gun comes out, and then you hear about Daredevil, that production being shut down. Like, they're shutting it down because they're starting to realize, all right, we can't get away with this shit anymore. We got to start trying again. You know,
We
like,
got too complacent.
yeah, like, or maybe stop with the fucking diversity hires. You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, like actually have competent people doing this stuff again. That's the issue. You know, like everyone's just so like they're all, you know, Hollywood is just this incestuous cesspool where just, you know, everyone hires their friends, or they're just so focused on diversity and inclusion right now that they put good storytelling to the wayside. And I think that's really what people are waking up to. They might not be able to put their finger on it, but, you know, when you watch Top Gun, you watch, you know, all these other movies that we're talking about that have been good the past few years, that's what's like they have the script is good, the story is good, the craftsmanship is good. And I think that's what people are starting to kind of realize.
Do you think that South Park joining the Panderverse is going to have any, you know, actual effect on studios?
Yeah, I think that it's going to wake up the normies slightly, you know, which is good. But I still think with the Panderverse, they're a little too late with it. I'm glad that it's funny, and I'm glad that it exists. But you know, they're like talking about, you know, 2021 issues.
Right.
You know? Like the Kathleen Kennedy thing is still it's still an issue, but really like the big thing in the news right now is Marvel and how that's kind of on its way out, and Kevin Feige kind of fucking that up. So I wish that they would have like hit him a little bit in there, you know. But it is good that like, you know, shitting on Kathleen Kennedy is now mainstream, you know.
Yeah, finally.
I think it'll play a role in waking up a lot of people who aren't thinking about it every day, and they can't really put their finger on why movies don't seem as good as they used to. And I was actually listening to an interview with the author of the Elon Musk biography, and he had a really good saying where he said there are two kinds of people who become writers, and that's they're either preachers or they're storytellers. And I feel like we've just come through an age where we've had a bunch of preachers where they're trying to tell you a whole bunch of stuff and preach their ideas and their opinions without weaving it into a good story. And when you put storytelling to one side in the storytelling industry, of course it's not going to work. So I feel like you can get across your opinion and people can either disagree or agree, but if the story's good, I'm not really going to attack it. But if you're just putting across your opinion but putting no effort into developing a good story and weaving it into a good story, well, you're not making a movie. Like, you're not being what a filmmaker is. And so, of course, I'm going to hate it.
Well, yeah, but the other problem with that, though, is when they're making these movies and they're trying to force an opinion or an agenda, their opinion sucks and their agenda sucks.
Well, and they also used to be better at hiding it and weaving it throughout the story. Like, you watch old movies and the storytelling is paramount. You could tell, but then there might be like an underlying thread, like, okay, I see you're trying to work in something. Then you watch a movie like Exorcist Believer and you have Chris McNeil like, the patriarchy. And it's like, okay, can you be any more on the nose? Like, you don't even know how to write that into a story anymore?
Yeah, I mean, like, we've talked about this before, but you know, one of my favorite movies of all time is RoboCop. RoboCop is an extremely, if you look at it, it's kind of a left-wing movie. You know, there's like a bunch of left-wing messaging about corporate America and all of that. Things that I might not agree with on the surface, but it's told in such a way that, like, even though I don't share that same perspective as the filmmakers, they do it masterfully. And it's, you know what I mean? So you can respect it at least. Yeah. Whereas now it's just so in your face and stupid that you can't get behind any of it.
Yeah, I mean, the quality of writing has just gone down the shitter, and I have no idea why. I'm trying to suss it out. Like, is it, you know, I'm in this cohort. Is it the millennials, you know, with the participation trophies, thinking they can be good writers? Coming in, I don't know why writing has taken such a huge slide over the past 10 years.
Well, I feel like writers they don't have any stories to tell because they're not doing anything. Like, you're getting all these writers coming up that went to Ivy League schools or grew up with parents in the industry or whatever, and there's no experience behind what they're saying, so there's no perspective, they just have no story to tell, because, like, how can you have a story to tell when you just live such a sheltered life? And, like, I mean, good, like, you've had a great life, like, of course that's a good thing, but I feel like a lot of writers that we used to get that would create great work had, you know, some crazy life experience that really affected the stories that they told.
Yeah, and then plus you're getting all these writers that, you know, like the team behind The Witcher, you know, they openly said that they didn't like the source material, so they're going to do it better. You know what I mean? Like, you get all these, like, people that get in there that just don't like or respect the material that they're working with in the first place. And that's just the mentality. And I think the mentality does kind of come from, like, that participation trophy generation. You know what I mean? It all comes down to shitty parenting.
Yeah, basically. I mean, and now, you know, you guys think that, you know, mainstream Hollywood has essentially fucked it up for so long that's creating an opening for smaller studios. Like, I know I've seen probably 3 or 4 Neon produced films. You know, I guess that they might be the next A24. And is it opening up an avenue for somebody like the Daily Wire to come in and do it better?
The Daily Wire is definitely not the way, because they're just like Disney. They're not trying to make universal stories. They're just trying to pander to the other side.
Yeah,
What we need
that's
is
my
someone who wants
opinion.
to make universal
Yeah.
stories.
That's my thing. Is I've always thought with the Daily Wire is they'll have to, they can't ever like, every movie they make has to be like very apolitical, like no sort of, they can't really say anything. They have to be very careful, because if they get into anything that may seem like they're pandering more right wing and ignoring anything else, then it's the same thing on the other side. Because if you're a far left extremist, like you're crazy, and if you're a far right extremist, you're also crazy because you're not thinking critically. And I feel like with the Daily Wire, because they're not a storytelling company, they're a conservative media company, whereas Disney are meant to be a storytelling company. I guess they can maybe find their way back to focusing on story first, but the Daily Wire are always, I guess, going to be the right-wing perspective, if that makes sense.
Well, but like
exactly
by
what I
being apolitical, it's kind of being political in a way.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, like their Snow White remake, like they wouldn't be making that remake if it wasn't for Disney. And
No,
so
it's
the
totally
reason they're doing it,
reactionary, yeah.
exactly. And so they're being political by just honoring the source material in a way. And I commend that, because if you're going to do a remake, honor the source material. But also, I think I said in my video about it, like I also don't care to see another Snow White remake, even though I see what they're doing. I've already seen 4 or 5 Snow White movies. I don't want to see another one. So I get it, but I don't care about yours either, to be honest.
Yeah, Brett Cooper said.
Yeah.
And I can already imagine the headlines. I imagine Disney's Snow White is going to cost, what, 300 million, and it's barely going to break even. And then the Daily Wire Snow White is going to be a parket ticket. And then it's going to make 5 times that amount, and everybody's going to say, hey,
Yeah,
the
I
Daily
mean,
Wire
it's,
made a Snow White.
Well, it's also that the movie's not going to be released like in the same way that the Disney Snow White's going to be released. It's going to come out through Bentkey, which is the kids programming
for Daily Wire.
For Daily Wire.
Yeah, and
so
I mean,
it's going to be exclusive to that. So like, because it's all about getting people to sign up for that, to watch it that way.
I think I was watching an interview that the Critical Drinker had with Ben Shapiro, and I think so the guy that started the Daily Wire really wants to be a big Hollywood mogul. So I think Ben Shapiro during that interview did say that they would release the movie in theaters as widely as they could.
Yeah. He said he knew they're obviously not going to get in as many theaters as Disney, but he said they're going to try to. And he said whenever Disney released their version of Snow White, they're releasing theirs at the same time. So they're delaying it.
Limited release, theater-wise.
And is Snow White, like the Disney one, didn't they delay it into like 2025?
Yeah,
I think so.
March of 2025, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
Wire is going to get some money from people who walk into the wrong room.
Are they done? Are they done?
Just get it into the big markets. That's it.
All right. Yeah. Do you know if they're done filming it or?
Well, what I've seen is that they're going to do reshoots. They're going to change some things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and at that point, there's going to be way too many cooks in the kitchen, and it's going to be the mark.
Well, there already is. That's why it looks the way it does. Yeah. So that's the other issue with Hollywood is the too many cooks in the kitchen aspect.
They had to get rid of all the crackheads in that photo they released 6 months ago.
All the hobos.
Yeah. So now it's all just really tall CGI dwarfs. Yeah. Interesting move.
They pulled them straight. They pulled them straight out of the uncanny valley and just dropped them off, scaring the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, the delays. I mean, at this point, I think one of the things Warner Brothers Discovery, whatever the hell the company's called now, did. The new guy came in and he's like, "All right, Batgirl, get the fuck out of here."
Good.
They can
David Zaslav?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And, whatever. I guess we're getting Aquaman 2, but because, I don't know.
That one was so far along that they were like, fuck
we got to do it.
We got to do it.
Yeah.
When's that coming out? Like December or something?
It's
coming out this year.
It was supposed to be summer, and I think they pushed it to December.
Right, of course.
Because they had the trailer.
Oscar season, right?
Yeah, they had the trailer during the Marvels.
Oh, okay.
It looks so fucking terrible.
Was it a new one, or was it the same one they dropped a month ago?
I think it was
Same one.
a month
Same
ago.
one.
Yeah. But
Amber Heard's relegated to one frame in the
Literally,
trailer.
yeah, she's got one shot.
Yeah.
Probably
Screaming in a
22
mirror or a
frames
window
total.
or something.
Yeah, it's like she's like behind some glass.
yeah, I mean, it's
Can't wait for that one.
I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Like, even honestly, Warner Brothers, I think, did it right, where it's just like, all right, clean slate, let's start over. Whereas Disney just keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I honestly don't know what they're thinking. I know, on a lot of the FinTwit and the financial sites that there are calls to get rid of Bob Iger. Who could take over? I mean, God forbid Kathleen Kennedy. Somebody. That's going to be even worse. But you really got to purge Disney from all the activists that infiltrated the ranks, both on Lucas and everywhere, really.
Well, it depends how far that stock goes down.
Yeah, this is the issue though. Is like there's too many that are already in there right now. Too many that have infiltrated that industry. So it's going to be hard to cleanse it.
Yeah, I mean the cancer has indeed metastasized.
100%.
Stage 4 or phase 4 here.
Yes. Yeah.
Phase 4, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we phase 4. It's over. We're now on to phase 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then like with like DC and Warner Brothers too, like, so you got James Gunn in there now, but we got to wait to see what that first James Gunn movie is going to be like before we can really see where that new slate of films is.
I mean, what, 2026 at the earliest?
Yeah, I think that's when Superman Legacy is supposed to come out. And that's
so
the first one.
What's DC dropping between Aquaman and that? Nothing?
I don't think so. Unless they do some sort of like, because I know that they have like plans to do television.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they've been doing that for years. I mean, they had some pretty successful television shows for quite a while. That was where they were actually decent. Was in television with the Flash and
that wasn't shared with the cinematic universe.
No, it wasn't.
Whereas like the Marvel stuff is all across the board.
Yeah, even though Ezra Miller did appear in the last.
I saw that. Yeah.
But yeah, they did keep that stuff separate. They had the whole Smallville, Green Arrow verse and all that stuff. And like that stuff was better from just like a planning standpoint. Like you were talking about earlier, like showrunners. Like they did so many crossovers with those series and Legends of Tomorrow and all that stuff. And whether you like those shows or not,
the planning was there.
The planning was there. You can tell, and it was competently done.
Yeah.
They were, that the shows themselves were okay, but not like the quality of the movies. But that's where you can. That's where the money went. You can tell, like in terms of storytelling and the writers, and not the cinema.
Paul just said that they were doing DC's doing like a hard reset, but are they really though? You know what I mean? Because James Gunn is having some holdovers. We've Viola Davis, she's still going to be in it. John Cena is still part of it. Like
all the weirdest people. Yeah,
all of his favorite people. But then and then
like Blue Beetle might be part of it.
Yeah, well they're waiting to see how successful that movie was before determining that. But then fans love Henry Cavill as Superman. Well, fuck you guys.
Right, get rid of him.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
they cast a guy that looks like almost exactly like him.
Yeah,
slightly younger.
I mean, in theory, resetting the whole thing is what they need to do, but I still don't feel like they're quite doing it. And DC has had so many fucked up start-stops. It's not even funny. They could never get their shit together. And I feel like this new iteration is just one more of those.
Yeah, and I think what happened with DC is they were trying to play catch up to Feige's vision over at the MCU, but I honestly have no idea what the shift was, why there was a shift. Feige came in at the time, if I recall correctly, the original Iron Man movie was not Disney. It was right around the time where Disney was buying Marvel.
Yeah, it was Paramount.
Yeah.
The first few, like Captain America, Iron Man, the Hulk, all of those were owned by different studios. The Hulk was Universal. Right. In fact, I think Universal still owns the Hulk. That's why there was never a Hulk solo movie.
Right.
But yeah, in the beginning, like each of the studios were doing their own.
Right. You know? But like once Disney came in and once Kevin Feige came in, it seemed like they did. It didn't seem like it. They for sure had this like 10-year grand vision of, you know, point A to point B end game. And then after that, it's like, oh yeah, I don't know, maybe we're not going to do phases. You know, where was like the strategic vision after that? Like, what made it fall apart? I still don't get it.
Well, I think that the main problem is current year politics kind of got involved, and for whatever reason, instead of like, oh, there's these popular story arcs in these comic books that you all like, well, we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to start pulling from the modern day comic books, which have abysmal sales. No one likes these new characters like Riri Williams, Ironheart. No one likes those characters, but because that's like, they have to put the message out there. It's a perfect opportunity for them to start having these characters show up in the movies.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, they're trying to make Kamala Khan a thing.
Yeah.
Like, she was not a thing in the comic books. The video game, like the Avengers video game, bombed because of her. Like, nobody cares for this character. You know, there hasn't been an introduction of like an iconic character like a Wolverine or a Hulk in 30 years minimum. You know, there's the Rippaverse with you know, they're trying to do it from the indie side, but you know, in Marvel and DC, maybe Image, Image Comics is a little bit newer. But that, you know, the heyday of Image was, you know, late
Spawn.
90s.
Yeah,
Spawn, Gen 13, Witchblade. You know, personally, I know like the TV version of Witchblade was fucking terrible on TNT, but I wouldn't mind seeing that. There's your female heroine.
But you couldn't do it though because she's super hot, and you can't have the male gaze anymore.
Right.
You can't have like a really hot girl. It's got to be some like dumpy lawyer chick like in She-Hulk.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, who was that show appealing to? Like you see and I called it out in a bunch of my videos. You see the writers of She-Hulk. It's like all unmarried, mid to late 30s women that are trying to pander to that same dwindling demographic.
That demographic that can care less about comic books or comic book movies. Yeah.
Maybe the TikToking demographic.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to appeal to. But again, content. So I don't know. I feel like I have a theory, right? Like where, you know, if you were to make a Witchblade movie or a series or whatever, and if you were to make her like super hot, make her wear scanty clothes, like have the costume do what it does in the comic books, you know what I mean? Have that male gaze going. I think that women would like that too. You know, like what I mean is like women like it when like someone is like, women are always like, that girl's very pretty, you know, like they can appreciate beauty as well. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Am I crazy?
I don't know. Is it the same way? I mean, you go see a movie with Chris Hemsworth. Are you like, damn, those abs are really bringing me in?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Extraction, you know. I mean, that's why I showed up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, that dude's jacked. And you know, similarly, you know, Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, you know, I mean, whatever. I don't know what you can think of Tom Cruise. But you have like the you know, the femme fatale in Jennifer Connelly's character. So yeah, I mean, the fact that you can't have the male gaze, it's, you know, it's anti-human essentially. Like if I live in New York, there's plenty of hot girls around. Yeah, I'm gonna, you know, sometimes I do a little side glance. I'm like, oh shit, that, you know, that's cool. And you know. I don't know if it's society or the media or Hollywood that basically wants to de-male males essentially, and nothing says it more than that scene in the Marvels where Brie Larson comes in and starts dancing with that guy, and I'm like, she looks more manly than he does. He's like really effeminate. What is the point of switching those traditional genders? And I keep harping on this in my videos. I'm like, men and women are not in competition with one another. You can't be turning women into men and men into women. They complement one another like pieces of a puzzle. I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face, but I don't get why there's and it's all guys here, but like there seems to be a war on men in the media. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah.
Basically,
I made a whole video about it a year ago called "Why Movies Need Masculinity," or I compare supposedly masculine characters today to the ones from the 40s and 50s.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
the Bogarts and the
yeah.
Grants.
Yeah. I just saw the Philadelphia story a month or two ago. The one from 1940 with Bogart and Cary Grant, and I'm like, yeah, these guys are acting like men,
Yes, and they hit on women. They treat them like equals, not like they're superior or inferior, which is what feminists pretend that old movies do. No, women in old movies are very much equal to men. They hold their own in everything.
Yeah. I mean, well, minus the one scene that I saw in the Philadelphia story where the dude pushes the woman to the ground. It's like, all right, yeah,
that's in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, that's an anachronistic.
Just in the beginning.
Just in the beginning. Yeah. No, but no, yeah. I definitely agree, and I've started watching older movies because they were, men act like men, women act like women. Each gender has excellent character development that moves the plot and the story forward, which is what we've been missing in Hollywood, I think.
Well, I just think it's refreshing watching an older movie because you're watching a movie from a time when no one cared about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're having these discussions right now, and we're like breaking down gender roles and all this stupid shit. Like how do we? This is where we're at, and it's just good to see films from another time when that was like not even an issue, when people can accept basic realities.
They were busy with World War II.
What did you say? You think it started with World War II?
They were busy with World War II to worry about gender identity.
Too busy with World War II.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I mean, like if war broke out tomorrow on the streets, all this gender ideology shit would be thrown out the fucking window.
Yeah.
It would be gone. Gender roles would go back so fast.
Wait, I have to sign up for selective service? Wait, what?
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'll stay home and cook you some food.
There was that Babylon Bee meme video. I don't know if you guys saw it, where the guy's like, there's a couple watching TV, and the new breaking news: World War III breaks out, and the woman had been complaining about the guy like not doing stuff around the house, and the guy's like, "Oh, okay, you want me to clean dishes? So are you going to be signing up for selective service?" So I mean, it's there's some outlets that still have like they provide good comedy, and the Babylon Bee. I know it's conservative leaning, but some of that stuff is fucking hysterical. But yeah, I mean, with a movie like there's been a lot of movies that haven't focused so much on gender roles. I could think of like Bullet Train, more contemporary to this year, Killers of the Flower Moon, that had female characters. I could say that it was female centric because I read the book. and it was about this woman, Molly Burkhart, essentially the main character. So there seems to be starting maybe a move towards not paying attention to gender roles. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen enough movies this year.
Well, I just think what Killers of the Flower Moon did was just tell a good story. Like he told the truth of a situation. Like there's a book about a situation that happened in real life. He went there. You go, okay, what's the story of this book? What's the story that happened in real life? How can I best convey this true story that happened with the best cinematography, the best writing possible, the best act? Like it was all just about making a good movie. That's where his focus was at. And so that should always be the number one focus. Like anything else that you may believe or have an opinion on should never come above making the best movie possible, because you're making a movie. Otherwise, just go and give speeches or lectures or write nonfiction books. But if you're telling a story, tell a story the same way Martin Scorsese just did with Killers of the Flower Moon, which is you could argue is like a political movie.
Sure.
But it's a good
it's
movie.
woven into the story. It's part of the story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not pandering any politics. Neither was the book. I mean, I have a couple gripes with the movie. It's a great movie. The first 45 minutes are not even in the book, so like completely unnecessary. But what I felt Scorsese should have put in more of, although we're in a political climate where law enforcement is looked down upon, but these events that happened in Oklahoma basically proliferated the birth of the FBI. And I wish there was more of that in the movie, because in the book, what's the actor's name?
Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons. Yeah, Jesse Plemons' character. There's like a big history and like the rapport that he had with his field agents. I wish there was more of that. That was a missed opportunity.
You have to blame Leonardo DiCaprio, because he was going to play the Jesse Plemons role, which was the lead in the original screenplay, but he didn't like the role. He thought it was too cliched, and he preferred to play Ernest, which I don't understand. That guy's an idiot. Why would you want to play such a passive individual?
Yeah. I mean,
so they rewrote the whole screenplay.
I think Leonardo DiCaprio is trying to go back to his roots with What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He would have been a much better, and I'm forgetting the FBI agent's name, but I think DiCaprio would have been a freaking. I mean, has he ever played a cop? Oh yes, he has.
Departed.
The Departed.
Yeah. Was he a cop in Departed, or was he? Yeah, he was. He was a cop.
He was undercover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but The Departed is a fucking masterpiece. So I mean, he could have just phoned it in even for Killers of the Flower Moon in that role. But yeah, I mean, is it going to get an Oscar nod? Yeah, probably. I don't think it'll win, just because it's a damn long movie. It's got stiff competition. If obviously Oppenheimer, but if they manage to get The Covenant a nomination, there's still maybe The Boys in the Boat.
You got Napoleon as well.
Napoleon,
It's going to be between Oppenheimer and Poor Things.
Now, does Oppenheimer qualify for Best Picture with the new?
Yeah, I heard it might
standards?
not qualify with the quotas that they have. Yeah,
No,
I think the rule
that's
is
just for Best Picture, though, not for anything else.
Oh,
yeah. I remember seeing a rule though that if they can say that they want to be nominated for Best Picture, but if they do that, then they're not allowed to have any other nominations. So like Cillian Murphy can't get nominated, no score or anything. So I think. If these quotas are in place for this Oscars, then it won't be up for Best Picture to allow all the other awards that it will probably win.
Yeah, for the far superior films.
Yeah, I mean, I was a high school college rower and rode a little bit after. So I mean, when I saw the trailer for The Boys in the Boat, I was like, almost crying. I'm like, this is fantastic, a whole movie about rowing, and
Mm.
it is an extremely white sport. I think, like in
It's like hockey.
I mean, there was one Asian guy on the crew team at my college, and like that was it.
Well,
Uh,
we can't have that.
No, they're definitely not winning Best Picture.
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, but it looks fucking great because it's not pandering to anybody. It's an underdog story. I mean, it's shitting on Nazis, which is like that's a cash cow for as long as for the last 80 years. So I mean, I'm very excited for that. But yeah, like the stupid quota rules, like it. I really hope that George Clooney gets Best Director. I mean, I haven't seen the movie to know if it should win Best Picture. But like the quota system it's just so flawed.
It's fucked up.
You
Well,
guys
it's weird. Like my whole thing with the quota system is just like if I'm watching a movie about a bunch of Vikings or something, like I'm not expecting there to be Asian Vikings. Same way as if I'm watching a movie like Mulan, I'm not expecting there to be white Americans or Africans coming in. Or if I'm watching a movie like Black Panther, I'm not expecting there to be other. Like you have to tell like the truth of a story and keep it somewhat realistic. And it's like it doesn't make sense. It's not conducive to good storytelling when a movie like Oppenheimer, which is telling a true story, can't just go and race swap characters that actually existed. Like Albert Einstein can't show up as Idris Elba. That's not going to work.
I mean, I would have enjoyed that, but
yeah, I mean, Idris Elba's a good actor. Whatever, put him in anything.
From what I read about those quotas, they seem very loopholeable. As in, you can pretend you did something that fits the quota.
Yeah, well, it's
You
also
you
free
need to have
too.
provided jobs to minorities. You can just say, "Hey, our DP is gay." That's it.
You can tell we hired about 30 gay PAs, so we meet the quota.
Yeah,
they're just
mean,
discreet.
Yeah, it probably is like there's probably total loopholes in the whole thing, but the fact is that they got to virtue signal about it though.
Mm-hmm.
They got to go on TV and show how diverse and inclusive they are. So
well, I mean, it's crazy. It's just literal box ticking, and like, since when was box ticking a good thing? Like, wasn't the whole idea supposed to be casting the best people for the role, telling the best story possible? Whoever the cinematographer is that's best for the role, I want them. I don't care what religion, gender, race they are. Whoever's best, get them. And that should be how you actually achieve.
I don't need to hear your whiteness philosophy anymore. All right,
your box ticking an art form.
Yeah.
Do you know what they did to the BAFTAs? The BAFTAs also have quotas. I know for sure they have in the Best Director category. Now they have 6 nominees, and 3 must be women every year. That's the new rule.
And I mean, movie making, and I see all the signs like "Made in New York," filmed in New York. The two mayors ago, Mike Bloomberg, he made a huge push to make a lot of movies and TV shows here in New York. And in my neighborhood's very popular for filming movies and TV shows. So I always see project names, no parking, blah blah blah. But they've got this this huge production company, Head Ads. But I see how much business it's bringing in. When I go grab like my sushi or my Thai food or whatever, I see all the crews like coming in and buying food. There's the street carts with people lined up. From the movie shoots. So inherently, like, it does provide diversity because of all the support of the local businesses. So I mean, having a quota system doesn't even make sense because you already have diversity.
Yeah, that's what's annoying about all of this stuff. All these things that they're complaining about don't exist. They don't exist, and they haven't existed for a long time. I mean, that's not to say that there's not any cases of racism still. Of course there is. Sure. The fact that you have to like start off, with a statement by saying like, oh, not all, but yeah, for the most part, everything that they whine about, it's not a problem, and it hasn't been for a long time. They're just making it sound like it has because it's easy.
Because it's not going their way.
Right.
And do you guys encounter, personally, I know a few people that, if I start complaining about the woke crap, they try to gaslight you into thinking that it's all in your head. That, basically the panderverse is all in your head. Have you guys encountered people like that?
Oh, sure.
All the time.
Yeah, in our comments all the time.
Yeah, but I've got eyes, so.
Yeah, right.
I made this video about Sight and Sound magazine. It's this British magazine on films. Every 10 years, they make this top 250 best movies of all time. They're the ones who canonized Citizen Kane as the greatest film. And last year, they elected Jeanne Dielman, which is a Belgian feminist film. And it was only because everybody wanted to put one film directed by a woman in their top 10. And that was the most picked film, so it ended up on number 1. So I made a couple of videos complaining about people who vote on films for political reasons, non-cinematic reasons is what I say. And there's a ton of comments saying, but movies have always been political. To say they aren't is a political choice.
And it's not like good female directors haven't risen to the top, like Catherine Bigelow. And like they exist.
Yeah.
But then when you try and force one into a list just to say one's on there, it's like you're doing a disservice to the ones that are actually good and have worked their way to the top.
It just comes down to the fact that for whatever reason, filmmaking that Chris Rock has even said this before, like 10, 15 years ago. He said that directing is a white man's game. You know what I mean? And he didn't mean that in a derogatory sense. He was just, then he was like, basketball is a black person's game. Like, for whatever reason, it's a male-dominated space. Who gives a shit? That doesn't mean that you need to start shoving other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's a leadership position.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you need to work your way up to that.
Yeah.
And you can't fail your way up or worm your way up like Kathleen Kennedy did. I have no idea what sort of voodoo magic, fucking black magic that woman, can imbue. But she slithered her way in, basically pushed. I feel like.
Well, I think she worked as a producer, right? Like she was a producer for a long time.
Yeah,
she did well as a producer.
Yeah,
but when she was the head, she can't do the role she has now.
Yeah, she's been around since like E.T., you know what I mean? She's been behind some big movies. In fact, when they announced that she was going to be heading up Lucasfilm, I thought that would sound like a good idea, you know what I mean, at the time. Like, I had no problem with that. But
then you find out the creative vision.
Yeah, exactly. You see the work. And then my opinion about her, it's all shaped on the work, not because she's a woman. I don't give a shit, you know? Like, we just brought up Catherine Bigelow. Point Break is a great fucking action movie, and typically women are not action directors, but she directed the shit out of that movie. And that movie,
Hurt Locker,
yeah, like great movies. Yeah,
Zero Dark 30. I mean,
Dark 30. Like she can do action.
Yeah, she's very good at it, but she's like an anomaly. That doesn't mean that all women can do that at this point. Like she's good at it for whatever reason.
Well, there was the director of Nomadland. Was that Chloe Zhao?
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree with it or not, the way Amazon treats its fucking workers is abysmal. And we all know that. That's just a fucking fact. And she did a phenomenal representation of the stark realities of basically being poor and not having a lot of opportunity. And she just happened to be a woman. I don't give a fuck who black, white, Cuban, Asian, female, trans, whatever. It doesn't matter as long as you're good. It's all about performance.
Right, but that being said, though, even though she might be good, that movie was really well made, that doesn't necessarily make her right to direct a Marvel movie still.
Right.
You know, like not everyone can, you know, oh, she made this like little indie movie for $10 million. It's all handheld and it's all natural light. Let's give her this big budget.
Considering that like they want people to like fall in line with Marvel movies, but they're like, oh, well, we'll give her a little more breathing room.
Yeah.
So that movie has a very different tone than a lot of other Marvel movies.
Right.
Because they want her stamp on that.
Right, of course.
Well,
Because,
the original Thor movie by Kenneth Branagh, like I feel like first phase MCU, you had
has
like
more personality.
action movie Iron Man, you had fantasy movie Thor, you had historical fiction Captain America. Like every film had its own feel, its own genre, essentially.
Yeah, and like I'm not
in a genre, but
yeah, I'm not even a fan of all of those movies. Like a lot of people kind of look back at Phase 1 with like these rose-colored glasses. There are a lot of movies in there that I don't like, but there's no denying that they were still competently made movies by directors that had clear visions. You know, and that's like. That's what Marvel's lost. You know, that's what Disney's lost.
Well, I mean, clear.
Now it's just become Star Wars somehow.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
The Marvels is Star Wars and Ant-Man was Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear vision, but also a respect for the source material. And for some strange reason, respect for the source material is toxic or whatever. Like a Henry Cavill in the Witcher series, like
he's a toxic fan. He was called a toxic fan.
Yeah, he read the.
Does he like the books?
He played the video games. He wanted to make it as faithful as possible. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he read the books in the original Polish. You know, and then he was unceremoniously fired for being toxic. It's like, where is this all coming from?
No, he took one look at the script and was like, "What the fuck is this?" Complained about it because it was shit. And then they accused him of being a toxic fan at that point.
He was like, I'm out.
Yeah, see you guys.
Good luck.
I mean, I think there was like an interview clip as well where the interviewer tried catching him out on that too. Is like, oh yeah, but you know there are these toxic fans out there, and he goes, no, don't call them that. Like he said, call them like loyal fans or something like that. I forgot what he said.
He said like it's easy to like basically accuse them of being toxic, but what it is they're just passionate about it.
Passionate, that's it. Yeah.
That was a great interview, and like it's then when I saw that interview, I already had my suspicions, but when I saw that interview, I was like, Henry Cavill's fucking based.
He respects.
It was like I recently saw like an old interview clip of Matthew Vaughn doing like promo for the first ever Kingsman movie, and they asked him, they were like, you know, you make movies that are very entertainment focused, fan service focused. And like, do you think there's a need for that in cinema? He goes, well, isn't that the only reason you make a movie?
Yeah. Right.
To make it entertaining? He goes, no one's going to turn on the movie to not be entertained. He was like, most of the movies like back in England, he's like, they get nominated for a BAFTA. He's like, put me to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, do you think that I mean, after like the Will Smith like bitch slap and all that, do you think that the Oscars and the award season are gonna drive people to the theater? You know, is it gonna put asses in seats? And you know, what films are you guys focusing on for Oscar season?
I'm excited for Napoleon. That's the next one. I'm just super excited to watch that. I've loved all the trailers for it, all the clips and the stills, and Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor. So I'm excited. That's probably the one left this year that I'm genuinely super excited for.
Yeah,
and June got pushed back to next year, so.
Yeah, I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan, so
competent.
Anytime he makes a movie, except for Alien Covenant,
Yep.
Prometheus, like I'm there for it.
Yeah. No, that looks like it's going to be fantastic.
I don't much care for Ridley Scott's directing style, but I'm very into Napoleon. I'm a big military history nerd, so I can't miss that film.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I'm a little bit worried about with the quota system for Napoleon is, Napoleon took all these Polish mercenaries. I'm sorry, but there's like 0 black people in Poland, and there never has been. So, like, are they going to race swap or like put in? Oh, he got like Africans on on the campaign, which, movie-wise, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Napoleon had
Well,
any.
no, he does. He
He
goes
did
to.
have
He's
one
in
black
Egypt.
general.
He goes to Egypt at. There's a clip in the trailer, I think, where he's like in front of the pyramids or something. So there's
Yes.
plenty of opportunity in there.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had the Egyptian campaign.
They're gonna
He
hit
did
their
have-
quotas.
He also had one black general. He didn't play a part in history, but that's some nice trivia.
Oh, that guy's
he
going to
was
be
the
like
father
front and
of
center as
Alexander
his second
Dumas.
in command.
Right. Yeah.
And I think actually there is an opportunity because I don't know about the history of France too much, but I'm pretty sure for like a long time there have been a lot of like African immigrants in France, so possibly just random soldiers scattered about, things like
But
that.
yeah, it depends how far back you want to go, though, with the early, what was it, 1700s?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know exactly time frame, but he did conquer a lot of places, so you might get a lot of scenes where he goes to places where they're just going to fill the quotas that way. They'll figure out a way around it.
They always do.
Do you think any of the early year movies have a shot? Like
Avatar?
Well,
When
no,
did Avatar come out?
That was last year.
Was it December?
Yeah.
Yeah,
December
yeah.
last year.
What I'm more
He
referring
did get
to,
Oscar nominations.
yeah, what I'm referring to is The Covenant. I don't know. Have you guys seen that movie?
I haven't seen it yet, but first of all, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's got like a positive outlook on the military, so probably won't be up for it. Plus, on top of that, and this is I think that because there's going to be 10 Best Picture nominations, Oppenheimer will be in there.
Yeah.
But if there were like only 5 nominations, because Oppenheimer came out earlier, it came out in the summer. Yeah. Typically, the Academy forgets about movies that don't come out other than November and December. So Oppenheimer will be in there, but back in the day, it wouldn't have probably. You have to release your movie in November, December. That's what I'm getting at. So. Yeah,
what
unfortunately.
about Barbie? You think that has?
That's surely
it's gonna be
nominated.
nominated. That's going to be nominated for a ton of stuff, whether it deserves it or not.
I haven't even seen it. It does not fucking deserve any of that shit. But
I mean,
it will.
Even
the one Oscar I will say it deserves is costume. I will give it that.
Set design, because there was a lot of practical.
Yeah, but like an award like costume design, makeup, editing, those sorts of movies. Those movies can be up and not necessarily be like a Best Picture contender. You know what I mean?
Well, kind of like what was it, Mad Max? Won like
editing and
like makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I don't know that was a contender for Best Picture.
I think it might have been actually.
Really?
Maybe. I don't know, but that's an anomaly.
Yeah,
if it was.
Which movie?
Mad Max
Fury Road.
Mad Max won 6 Oscars.
Yeah, it won a ton.
Was it up for Best Picture? I think it was.
Yes, it was up for Best Picture and Director.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Napoleon, which I think that comes out this month, right?
Next week, I think.
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I don't. Maybe one of you guys know if you guys are into history. I know that before Stanley Kubrick died, he was like working on his like big opus, which was like a Napoleon film. Yeah. Is the Ridley Scott film taking material from Stanley Kubrick?
No, here's the interesting part. Steven Spielberg is going to produce a mini-series based on Kubrick's screenplay. It's going to be directed by Spielberg and by Joji Fukunaga.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know when they're going to make it, but it's in pre-production probably.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Interesting. It's like another AI situation then.
Yeah, and there's going to be 2 Cleopatra movies as well.
Oh,
right, Gal Gadot or something.
The Gal Gadot one, and what's the other one?
The Denis Villeneuve one. I think it's going to be Zendaya.
He's doing
that
one?
was.
Jesse,
that'll get some nominations.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, Jesse. You don't know, like your highest rated videos with the most views are those Cleopatra videos.
Oh, right.
That's because I went on. Yeah, when the first documentary came out, and I went on a 10-minute rant, non-stop, non-scripted, just pissed off at what Netflix did and calling it a documentary, and that did the best. And that was at a point. I think
we had a popular shirt about the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what started my channel. I had like barely any views, and then I did a 10-minute rant, and I was pissed off. It did like 1.5 million views, and I was able to launch a channel from there.
Holy shit, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, Hollywood's been known to have like the two side, the simultaneous release. Like I remember Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Dante's Peak,
coming out
Volcano.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense for them to put out 2 stories about Napoleon.
Movies, they always happened.
Yeah.
Tombstone, Wyatt Earp.
Yeah. What was the Mission
Tombstone?
to Mars and Red Planet?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what about animated movies? You think? Because I mean, the stuff that came out of Disney, and I saw the trailer for Wish, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, same CGI shit fest. Do you think that Across the Spider-Verse is it, or do you? And I don't know if you guys have seen it. I mean, I thought it was a like visually gorgeous movie. Was Seth Rogen's Ninja Turtles? There's also Super Mario. What do you guys think for best animated?
Yeah, I think Mario and Across the Spider-Verse. I haven't seen Ninja Turtles, so I can't. Yeah.
Ninja Turtles kind of showed up and nobody really cared that much, but Mario was a huge hit.
It's probably going to be Across the Spider-Verse, though.
Yeah.
Just because of, the
I think
diversity
it's going to be Spider-Verse. And the first film won Best Animated Feature.
Yeah. The first one is very... I haven't seen
yeah.
the second one yet, but the first one's very good.
The second one's equally as good.
Okay.
I loved
no
it.
complaints about it. And even like South Park, I think that the South Park joining the Pandaverse was very even-sided because, in one scene, Cartman was like, yeah, you can do diversity. Just take a look at Miles Morales. There's a guy, great character development, great story, just happens to be black. Who gives a shit?
Right.
So,
not just recasting Peter Parker as a black dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And and he's in the second Spider-Man video game. I think he's a pretty compelling character. It's not a rehash of like Peter Parker the high school years because he has like different. There's some parallels like his father got killed in. I don't know if I'm maybe confusing the Spider-Verse movies and the video game. So I think within the video game, his father died, and so it was just like him and his mom. So it's parallel to Peter Parker and Aunt May, but he's his own character, very, very different personality, and so that's diversity done right, essentially, in a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they just
Funny
focus
how
on
we
making
had-
an interesting character.
Yeah, when we were young, we had a billion films with Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody cared that they were black.
Everybody loves those guys.
No, and everyone
Barely
talked
mentioned.
like, Black Panther came out. Everyone was just basically sucking that movie's dick. It was just like, oh my god, it's the first black superhero. And I've brought this up before,
Blade.
but fucking Blade, 1998.
Spawn.
Yeah.
Spawn, yeah, exactly. And
It's like,
And the Blade came out. That movie was so awesome. Wesley Snipes was phenomenal in that role. So much so that it's hard to imagine anyone else playing him, even though we're going to have someone else playing him soon. But again, that movie came out. No one talked about the fact that he was black. No one talked about it being successful because he was black. None of that mattered. It was just a cool fucking movie. And of course, Wesley Snipes was going to play him. Who else was going to do it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm stupid.
in multiple sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody cared.
Yeah, Blade 2 is great. 3 sucks.
I always keep hearing rumors that they're going to relaunch Spawn. Because I mean, the movie with Michael Jai White was fucking like that was terrible.
Oh, it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but
The
I'd be down for a new Spawn movie.
They're making one. Blumhouse is doing it.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys remember this far back. The Spawn TV show on HBO.
Yeah, the animated show.
Fucking phenomenal.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
If you can recreate that, modern day, blockbuster. And again, you guys brought it up. Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington. I love invoking Denzel Washington. Like, has there been a movie that you didn't like with Denzel Washington? He's fucking great in all of them.
No, he really is. Like, do you remember? It was last year or the year before that movie came out with him, the Macbeth movie, the Coen Brothers movie.
I haven't seen that, but that
I
looks
haven't.
fucking great.
I haven't seen it either. But there was the teaser trailer for that. I just remember there was a shot of Denzel. He wasn't even saying anything. He was just moving towards the camera, but like his look on his face. And I just remember thinking, "Holy shit!" Like he is seriously good. Like,
That's his best performance ever. I watched the movie and I left and I was like, that is hands down his best performance ever. Like, it was ridiculous. He was so good.
Meanwhile, Will Smith captures the Oscar ahead of Denzel. You know,
Denzel Washington has 2 Oscars.
Wait, Denzel has 2 Oscars?
Yes, he won in 1990 for Glory and in 02 for Training Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he again, phenomenal actor, and I don't see him as black. Like, it's just I see him as the character that he's displaying on screen, and like race does not factor one bit into it. He's just fucking good in everything he does, and movies need to get back to that essentially.
Yeah, he's honestly one of the best actors to have ever lived, and he just so happens to be black. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
But he's great.
Exactly. Yeah,
he's so good.
And he's not great because he's black. He's great because he's fucking good.
Which is something that like I notice so much now with movies and shows. It's like when they market it, it's all about like, oh, we're saying this politically. It's like, yeah, but why are you good? Because I don't care about what you're saying politically or what makes your show or movie good, because it's not like your opinion is what makes the story good. It's how well did you execute. But for some reason now, it's just been like muddled where it's like, oh, if we have this political opinion, therefore the movie is good. It's like, well, no.
Yeah. It's like what made Blue Beetle good was that it was the first
Latino
superhero. And it's like, well, who cares? Is it a good story? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, Miles Morales, he's half Latino, you know, but you don't, it's not a focus. His race isn't a focus at all.
No, it's just what it is. It's just what he is.
I mean, when you watch Across the Spider-Verse, I mean, you're watching something that's showing black culture, and he comes from that. That's fine. Like you can tell a story from a different part of the world, you know, or you know, show a sect of society that I know little to nothing about, but make it interesting still, you know, because I'm human. Like we can all do that. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to market like just because there's a black Spider-Man. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, and I mean, I in one of Jesse's videos, you know, you mentioned there's so many stories in Latin America, in Africa, that are just not being told.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't like to me. It's like if you care so much about creating diverse characters, why are you going to a Danish story in The Little Mermaid and recasting it and making the black version? Because that's not a black character. That's the black version. Why don't you create something that's original and go and find books and stories that were written in Africa or in you know, Hispanic countries or wherever, and tell those stories? Because it's like, where are these like racist fans for Mulan? Where were these racist fans of Black Panther? They succeeded. They made money. They had good reviews. But apparently there are racist fans for The Little Mermaid. It's like, no, the movie sucks, and it's just a version. You're not actually creating any new characters that we should care about.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, make a good movie. You know, I remember I snuck in to see The Little Mermaid. I didn't want to pay for it. And
Theater
I was like, halfway through, I'm like, fuck this. Like, I fucked out. Because, you know, there was so much superfluous garbage in the movie. Like, the original movie was 80 minutes, 83. And this one was well over 2 hours. It's like, no, man, just stay. If you want to, do the live action, just stick to what the original was. You want to remake it live action, no problem. But that movie didn't suffer because, well, of race swapping. It suffered because of bad direction, bad writing, bad acting.
It looked so dark. I didn't watch the film just based on the trailer. It looked so dark.
Okay.
It was dark. Yeah, they would go into like the deep parts of like a cave or something. It's like I can't see anything.
Yeah.
It looked dark and it looked fake. It looks like shit.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, and that's good. That goes back to what we've already talked about with bad CGI. But I mean, you can have good stories, good character development, and they just happen to be diverse. But that's not the focal point, and it shouldn't be.
And films are so long today.
Oh my
Well,
God,
I
yeah.
mean,
They have no need to be so long.
well, I mean, some of that I don't know because I don't know how like Hollywood is trying to cater to the TikTok generation that has like attention spans worse than a goldfish. I mean, Scorsese went like complete opposite
The
end of
other-
the spectrum,
Yeah,
but I don't think that's going to appeal to a lot of Gen Z and like Generation Alpha.
it's okay. It's not for them.
No,
I feel like Scorsese as well is like, I'm such a good director. Let me show you for 45 minutes and tell no story here, but just show you such great cinematography, such great acting, and such great direction. Let me just let me just stunt on you guys a little bit.
yeah. I mean, it was definitely him showing off essentially.
Yeah.
No, I'm
I
back.
mean, if there's craftsmanship there, I'm all for that. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I'll watch that still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker for good cinematography. You know, if you can give me something along the lines of Ghost of Tsushima on the silver screen, you got me. Beautiful, but depends on how much CGI. Because then you have something like Avatar, and it's a CGI shitfest. If you have like really good cinematography, like The Northman, for example, phenomenal cinematography. You know, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, I think Robert Eggers even said, he's like, plot is so overrated. He's like, I just get a vibe, and I'm like, I'm just going to create 2 hours of that vibe.
Yeah.
That's what he did with like The Northman and The Lighthouse.
It's kind of what those movies are. Like The Witch too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, you guys, we've been on for a couple hours. You know, I think it's a phenomenal discussion we've had so far. But let me hear more about what you guys are doing on your individual channels. You know, what you've got cooking up for, I mean, we're coming into the end of the year, but any 2024 plans for your channels? You know, what do you guys have in the pipeline? Maybe
I'll go first.
Yeah, whoever wants to go.
I'll release a video tomorrow, which will be the first episode in a series of videos. I don't know when the second one is gonna come, but it starts tomorrow, called Why It's a Classic. It's meant to defend films that survived through history, that passed the test of time, and explain why, artistically and narratively, they are important and worth watching and emulating. Because today, as I mentioned before in the Sight and Sound discussion, people are trying to kill the canon for no reason besides, oh, we need to change the films that we watch because of cultural reasons and whatever. And I think that's nonsense. A film that survives, any form of art that survives, does it because they really tackle themes of beauty, universal appeal, and that kind of thing. And tomorrow it's going to be the first episode on that subject.
That's fantastic. I mean, and I have to commend you, Moviewise. You really know your shit when it comes to filmmaking, direction, cinematography. I really enjoy your videos, and everybody should check out Moviewise's channel because you know Moviewise goes deep. And that's one of the things that that originally drew me to your channel.
Thank you, Paul.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I really want to watch that Argentinian movie that you talked about. So, like, I started your review and I'm like, oh fuck, I really need to watch this. But because I knew you were going to go deep into it, but yeah, you really know your stuff. So
you know what's funny? I got a copyright claim for that video. It took me 2 weeks to get it off. And everybody was commenting that they wanted to rewatch the film or watch it for the first time, or they heard about it because of the video, and the studios tried to take it down.
Oh my god! I mean, you're doing free advertising.
Yeah,
for
free
them.
promotion for them, yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I mean,
Man, those copyright strikes are the worst.
They are like any, you know. In my intro, I wanted to have the Tenet theme instead. And nothing I did, like doing pitch changes, tempo changes. I'm like, fuck, all right,
No, music
whatever.
is no
You
No,
know,
go.
music is
stock.
I
impossible.
hate when it clears the copyright check, you upload it, it's good for a day, 2 days, 3 days. On the fourth day you wake up, you've had a copyright. What? How?
Yeah,
Some people get it after years. They say that's
Oh
the
man, it's
fear I
crazy.
have.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
YouTube's also going back. Like they've been cracking down more recently with
yeah,
videos that have been up for
Yeah.
years.
yeah,
New
yeah.
guidelines, things change.
Oh man.
And what do you guys have going on over at Hardcut?
Well, unlike Moviewise, we are extremely surface level. We don't go deep at all. No, our next video is probably going to be Marvels.
Yeah, we're seeing that tomorrow.
We're seeing that tomorrow, so we'll probably be sitting down and have a discussion about that in the next few days. And then, we're sticking to the big stuff for the next 2 months as we approach the holiday season. So whatever big's coming out, that's where we're going to be.
Much of the same for me, just the same that I've been doing on my channel, just videos every time I like a topic that I want to talk about, anything newsworthy going on or a review. And then on to the side of that, I'm trying to grow like a podcast where I can actually give some positive takes on movies I like, because there's so much shit going on right now with just like shitty films, and all the big blockbusters suck. And I actually got into cinema as more of like an indie film fan, and I just have to talk about the big stuff on my main channel because I like it, but also because that's what works on YouTube. But I'm using a podcast where I don't really worried about it growing, but just so I can put out some more positive takes and things, because it pisses me off just having to talk negatively all the time about crap like the Marvels.
Yeah.
We'll get comments sometimes like, "Oh, just another movie channel that shits on everything." And it's like, well, if you go back and actually look at some of our videos, like we positively review movies all the time.
It's probably a 50-50 ratio.
Yeah. Like we just go see something and we're like, okay, we'll just talk about it honestly. Did we like it? Yes. Okay. Did we not like it? Okay, we'll dump on it. But like we try to avoid like just going in one direction completely.
Yeah.
It's no fun that way. Then it just gets tired if we just talk about from the same perspective nonstop about everything sucks,
Yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate, but a lot of times the hate clicks, you know what I mean?
They do work.
But that is definitely not our motive.
Our most
our
popular
intentions.
videos are the videos we have taken the biggest shits on. So,
Yes.
or the movies we've taken the biggest shits on. So,
I mean, my Mission Impossible review, I enjoyed Mission Impossible, so I gave it a good review, and it has, I think, like 15 times less over the span of a few months views than my Marvels review that came out last night.
I think our Mission Impossible video is one of our better videos, and it's same.
It's like 1,200 views.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah.
It's tough figuring out the YouTube algorithm. Yeah, on my end, I'm going to try to finish up the garbage that's Loki. And I mean, I'm excited for Napoleon. I'm really excited for The Boys in the Boat. I read the book. But one thing I've got cooking that I'm actually in the home stretch of, I'm about to finish my first novel. So I'm
nice.
powering through. Yeah, I want to try to get it done by the 15th of December, and then take about another few days to edit it, and then print out some hard copies to hand out to friends and family.
Can you say what it's about?
Yes. So it is about it's a murder mystery thriller. Two cops try to figure out who murdered this basically modern day MLK, and there's a couple of really big twists. I'm shocked at how like this is flowing out of my brain, because I'm like, the rapport between these two characters is like, I was just like, how the fuck am I writing this? Like, I don't know like how I'm coming up with this. The entire time, one of my buddies, he made fun of me when I told him I was writing a book. He's like, "So you're really writing a movie script?" And I'm like, "Well, funny you should mention. If I were to cast the two main characters, I would do Idris Elba and Amy Adams as the two detectives." which would be, I mean, that's my dream scenario. But yeah, I'm just shocked at how this is like just all flowing out of my brain and onto the page. It's been something I've been working on for years. Fits and starts, outlining it took the absolute longest. I made a ton of progress this year, so I just want to, put it in the can. So maybe not as many YouTube videos, but I want to just power through, get it edited, and then get it released sometime next year.
That's cool,
Nice.
And
Excited, man.
yeah, I mean, again, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I keep shitting on bad character development and bad story elements. It's like, all right, you think you could do better, buddy? Yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. The old college, right? Yeah, so that's what I've been cooking up. But you guys, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. I'm glad to have brought together 3 continents in one live stream to talk movies and pop culture. So really, thank you guys for coming on, and thank you to everybody watching out there.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So happy hour's over, but it's always happy hour somewhere. So we'll be back soon with more Thirsty Thursdays in the coming weeks. So thanks a lot, you guys.
Thanks, guys. And nice to meet you guys as well.
Yeah,
You too,
nice to
man.
meet you guys.
Yeah. All right.